What's up, everybody? I'm Dave Miranda, and this is episode 121 of Just Give Me 5. Hope you guys are doing great, continue to be amazing. We got a really awesome show lined up for you today. But first things first, I need you to hit that like button, I need you to hit that subscribe, and I need you to spread the word about Just Give Me 5, all right? Now, if you guys caught episode 120, you saw we had none other than my brother Night Vision, KV, Hooligan Movement, and let me tell you, you know, that episode really took me back because like I had said prior, you know, Night Vision and I, you know, shared a lot of great moments in the studio. You know, he worked on the, well, he engineered the whole Honesty Is Not a Sin album. And then, you know, we worked on, you know, other projects as well, little records here and there. But, you know, it was just such a great time, you know, and you know, like I said, man, when you work with somebody like that, one-on-one like that, you know, on a whole project, because you can do songs here and there, but when you do a whole project, you truly get a chance to, you know, really create a bond with somebody. And I knew Night Vision, of course, prior to this, but, you know, I felt like at that point, we really knew each other because we spent so much time creatively working. And, you know, man, my hat goes off to him, man. He's just such a tremendously great guy, and everything that he did for the community. You know, he is definitely the Arizona hip hop historian. I mean, and what's beautiful is that, like he spoke about in the interview, is that he collects all local, you know, music. So it's like if you have, I mean, he has records from like the 90s from artists that some of them don't even have anymore. He has like them on cassette or CDs, and it's like, it's just beautiful, man. You know, like that's truly supporting, you know, the local scene, the movement. And, you know, I just love that guy, man. So make sure you guys watch episode 120. All right. But today's guest is one of the true Arizona hip hop pioneers and is a huge staple in the community. We're going to talk about how he became an MC, as well as the creation of Cutthroat Logic. We're going to talk about him forming Respect the Underground, the Arizona Hip Hop Festival, and so much more. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you Justus.
Yo, what up? It's just us, Mayor of the Underground, and all I'm saying is just give me 5. Let's go. Oh man. Keep it real. I did my first talent show when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
At a summer camp.
Talk about it.
It was church camp. No cap.
Okay.
And I did a DC Talk song a cappella with this dude that I had met at camp because they had a little talent show. Mm-hmm. And they were like, you do whatever you want, whoop-de-whoop. So we went up there and rapped. And I was 10 and I hopped up on this pew. And like I was like, yo, throw your hands up, you know what I'm saying? I did like I followed like Run DMC, like throw your hands in the air. Yeah, bro, and like I shit you not, all these little kids at camp hopped out of their seats, they cheered. Like I remember this moment. Right. And I was like, oh my God. So like, if you ever heard that intro on Doggy Style, like what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, I want to be a motherfucking rapper. Yeah. So like rappers were always my hero. Athletes were always my hero. Right. So like, you know, it was always like, I didn't know what capacity, but I knew I loved being an MC, controlling the crowd, you know what I'm saying, that type of energy. I wanted to be on stage and on the mic.
Do you remember what song you did?
Yeah, it was Heaven Bound.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was my first rap tape. My parents wouldn't let me get secular music. My dad was raised in the church, so like,
okay, got you.
DC Talk, Run DMC, like those were my only options. Mm-hmm. But I wound up smuggling in tapes, you know, real early on and getting in trouble for that. Right. Yeah, that was the first record, and then I did another talent show in like 6th grade when I was 12, and like, you know, it just kept. And then once I moved to Phoenix permanently, because I'm 4th generation Arizona, but my father was in the military, so we hit military bases every 3 years. Okay. And when we finally came home permanently, I met my best friend Kamal Jahid, and he taught me how to rap.
Okay.
His brother, Babatunde, the Everest College guy, what you doing on that couch? You ain't doing nothing with your life. He's actually the 5th member of Cutthroat Logic.
Okay.
So he was my big brother like that. Babatunde will always be like the red man of Arizona. They just never put out any music. Like he's just the most incredible MC that unfortunately the world will never hear.
Right.
Because like that dude is the red man of Arizona, like bar heavy. Like we would go into his drawer and read his rhymes, and he had the double syllable entendres, the
So he taught you the
punchlines. Like he knew how to like structure a verse.
Right.
So that's how I learned how to rap was with, and then we became Cutthroat Logic, in 1999, 98.
So now, were you doing, I know you were doing, the stuff like the talent shows and stuff, but I'm talking like now, like you're getting older, you're kind of going on your own. What kind of solo, were you doing like any solo open mics or anything?
No, man. So we did the talent show at high school with Kamal and my buddy Andy.
Okay.
And then we were in a crew called the Phoenix Zoo in high school.
The Phoenix Zoo?
Yeah.
Okay.
For stupid ass name. But this is how the name came to be. So everybody was gangbanging in the 90s at the time, right?
Oh, facts.
And we were into graffiti and rapping. And, my OG was a Loke from the north side. Well, everybody was a part of, some type of section.
Yeah.
And Chuck Lyons and Jake Snakes, that's how they get their names. We used to write graffiti. They get popped writing graffiti, and they had to go down to county.
Okay.
So they're sitting in the horseshoe, and a couple of essays look up on them, and they're like, "Yo, where you from, Holmes?" And they had on Phoenix Zoo employee like sweatshirts.
Right.
And like as a joke, they're like, "Hey, we're from the Phoenix Zoo. I'm Jake Snakes. This is Chuck Lyons." And they were like, "Oh, okay, that's what's up." And like, so we go bail them out of jail, and they're like, "Yo, we're the Phoenix Zoo now." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
And like, they told the story, we all started laughing, and it became a joke. But then, fast forward a year, and we're 100 deep, mobbing to these parties, all got these stupid animal names, ciphering, rapping, fighting, like all that. Like, so it became a thing. And like, Gang Task Force documented it, like we were all like wrapped up in the nonsense. But yeah, that was a real thing. So it was Phoenix Zoo first, and then Cutthroat Logic was incepted in '98. And it was always, I never did anything solo until I released my solo album in 2018. I recorded solo music, but I always wanted it to be Cutthroat Logic because Cutthroat Logic was near and dear to my heart because Kamal had passed away in 2000, February 28th, 2000. And he was my best friend. So we carried that torch as long as, we could. And I'll still carry, like when this new music comes out, when I release the solo stuff that I'm gonna release soon, I'm gonna release it under Cutthroat Logic because it'll always be Cutthroat Logic, today and forever, CTLTAF. But to me, it's about the legacy. It's about the story. That's what's most important to me. So, Ryan Castillo, like I call him Stilo because that's how it's spelled. But this man built a studio in his bedroom in like 1996. There's actually a video on my Instagram, and he would record us on mini disc. So we would always go to Matt Blair and Ryan's house and just blow trees and rap for hours on end and record it on these mini discs.
Right.
And then one day we're sitting there recording, and we were just recording for fun. Like we really had no direction. You couldn't even get to a studio to get a CD pressed. But we were just like throwing song ideas back and forth, and Deontay come in and he's like, "Yo, I got the song concept." And it was Cutthroat Logic. And he spit what is now known as Death is Breathing, which was our first song that we ever put out.
Yeah.
And it was such a dope concept. I look at him, and it's me, Kamal, Deontay, Ryan, man, we're all sitting in this apartment, this little trap house. And I'm like, dog, that's not a song, that's who we are.
Yeah.
Like, that's a rap group. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Deontay is like, yeah, that should. So we like all voted on it. And we were like, all right, this is what it is. And we became Cutthroat Logic after that. And then we found Cell Block Z with Jimmy Z, had a recording studio, and they were actually printing CDs. And he was like the first CD press in the Valley, where if you went to the studio and you tracked a record, he burned it to a CD.
Right.
Which was insane to us. We were like, what you talking about? We used to listen to our shit bumping the whip.
Right.
So we went to Jimmy's and recorded Blow Blazed and Confused and Death is Breathing. And like it just flipped the north side upside down. Like people were tripping because like this music was really good.
Yeah.
Looking back, the quality of it sonically was like rudimentary, but from like a song perspective, this is in the era when some songs were written and only performed live.
Yeah.
Like they never even made it to wax because that was such a more like intense process. So like we started throwing house parties. Like I threw couple house parties so we could play this CD and perform it. And then we wound up getting our management deal with Soulfly. And Soulfly put us on a gold record. That was the biggest opportunity, like out the gate. We were on a gold album tour in stadiums. And that came from a house party that we threw as Cutthroat Logic. We threw a house party, we were rapping. All the house party nonsense that occurs at all house parties all happened.
Right.
And, you know, it was a beautiful genesis.
Wow, man.
But that's how Cutthroat Logic came to be. So Ty, my friendager, a gentleman who tried to manage us, he did his best, but he was just, don't ever let your friend be your manager, and don't ever let him control the money because it'll wind up missing. Yeah. But he had a relationship with Ty and Mark Days. Shout out to Days. So we were doing street team for the labels, and then we started doing street team for Ty for his concerts that would come to the Valley.
Oh, TMC presents.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And then Ty got a hold of our demo from Mike. Mike gave it to him, and he was like, y'all are dope. Yeah. Like, you should open. I got Raekwon coming February 12th, 2000. You know, you guys should open up.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my God, like the chef, like this is crazy.
Right.
So we opened for Ray. It was a big deal. That night was complete chaos. And, you know, 2 weeks later, my best friend passed away. So the deals that we did have on the table from the Soulfly situation, because she had sent our demo out. Yeah. We had letters from Jive. We had a letter from Death Row. This is when you mailed out a demo and they mailed you back a letter.
Right, right.
And they were interested. But when Kamau passed away, unfortunately, it null and voided the demo that we had sent them. Wow. And this was so early on in like, I mean, you're talking early 2000, 23 years ago, like labels weren't okay with that type of energy. Yeah. Like the 50 Cents of the world hadn't come in and like made it okay to get shot. Right. Like
all of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were like, we need, plus Kamau was the shining star. Kamau was the beacon of that. He was the best member of the group. He was like, I remember Guru, we played our demo for Guru and Premiere. And because we were street teaming for, I brought him an ounce of some Purple Reggie. Yeah. I gave it to him. He's like, how much I owe you? I'm like, big homie, just listen to this CD and smoke one with me. And he was like, bet. And that was during the Moment of Truth album when he was on tour with Rage Against the Machine at America West. Right. So he listens and he's like, Kamau sound like Ice-T had a baby with Wu-Tang. Wow. He's like, he's lyrically insane, but his tone is like Ice-T. Okay. And I was just like, damn, that's dope.
Because he's really listening to it.
He was really listening. Yeah. I rolled a Philly Titan with a quarter in it, and this man might have passed it twice. Wow. Like, Guru took it to the face. God rest his soul. Yeah, man. Like, Guru and Premiere low-key sparked the spark that, you know, the reason I'm here today. Soulfly, the reason I'm here today. Kamau, you know, Babatunde, they're the reason I'm here today.
Wow, man.
3 memorable moments of Cutthroat Logic.
I mean, you just said, I mean, the Guru and Premiere alone, I mean, that gave me chills, man.
Going backstage with Rage Against the Machine and Premiere and Guru and that moment, because Kamau was present and he was still alive. Kids in Candy Store. Like, it was the most, like, just hip-hop dream, right? Yeah. But as a group, looking back, like the January 24th album release party when we dropped our first album and 1,000 people showed up. Wow. Like, we sold it out on our own. There was only like 8 other groups on the bill.
Oh, you guys were selling out shows, yeah. Bro. I was bear witness. You know
yeah, we sold out everything we touched. Yeah. It never made a dime because of poor management. But wow. That's why I throw concerts today, because I learned from, you know, how, like we, you know, Cutthroat Logic events are the genesis of Respect the Underground. Right. So Like, obviously, like, the big one was dropping that album and all those shows that led up to it. Obviously, signing with Soulfly was, you know, like, that opportunity in memory of recording at Salt Mine, meeting Don.
Yeah.
Like, that was big. And these were all, like, really infant phase inception things that happened to the conglomerate. But between the album and just persevering, you know, putting out projects, I think recording with, signing with Ruckus and recording a record with KRS-One and shooting a video with him, that's monumental to me.
Wait a minute, I didn't know about the Ruckus deal.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Slop Funk Dust was the A&R.
Okay, so when Slop...
He was out here. Okay, it was the Ruckus 50.
Got you.
And we signed with them. I had a solo album that was done, and I scratched it to make it a group album to give to Ruckus because I wasn't willing to leave Deontay behind. I was like, listen, I'm not going to sign this deal with Ruckus without you.
Right.
So we brought out KRS. Like, we toured with him. Like, we built a personal relationship with Teach. Like, that was, to me, monumental because we shot a video to a single with KRS-One, who is arguably, you know, the godfather of hip hop, one of the, you know, the pioneers.
Absolutely.
So that was a big deal. You know, we signed a little licensing deal with MTV in 2012 when we released our last album. Okay. And 2 of those singles were placed on the video game that went 6 times platinum, so that was pretty cool.
What video game was that?
Battlefield Hardline.
Nice, man.
We got 2 records on there, so that technically, you know, we got a couple of plaques.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, the story of Cutthroat Logic is more bittersweet because of it. It was like all these moments where we almost made it, and we would taste it. Best show we ever played, though, was, for the third and final, would be the Shrine Auditorium on 4/20/2000 with Cypress Hill because of Soulfly. We got to perform in front of like 10,000 people. Nice. Sold out, took a bong rip on stage. This is 420 in LA. Yeah. You know, with Cypress Hill, Cottonmouth Kings, right, heavy metal bands. Like, it was a different moment. Yeah. You know, and we really didn't know what was going on. Like, we were just a bunch of punk kids. Right. So, like, in the moment, you know? Yeah, in the moment, you know, and now looking back, it's like, damn, that was a beautiful moment. So yeah, those are some good ones. You know, I was able to produce a lot of my doing things on my own that always perpetuated the brand, but that Cutthroat Logic is, you know, my genesis. RTU. RTU was incepted out of necessity. I was pushing the last album that Cutthroat Logic released, and I was hosting concerts all over the country. I hosted for Sean Healy, Universal Music, any promoter coming to Valley, do a national show. Any gig I could get anywhere in the country, I would just print 500 CDs, get a stack of Bobby Fresh t-shirts, shout out to Robert. Yes, sir. Because I was working with him at the time, and I would pull up with a stack of this fly-ass sneaker gear and CDs, and I would host these concerts for free. Wow. And throw my CD off stage because I was trying to promote the upcoming album, and I knew I couldn't perform. Yeah. But cross-promo, you know what I mean? I could promote the album. You know, I could host every weekend. Yeah. Twice a weekend, Friday and Saturday, right, which I did. But what happened was I was collecting data, meeting like all these opening acts, and one thing that I noticed is that there was local openers in every single city who would bring out 40 or 50 people to see them open for exhibit, and those people would watch them open, and then they would leave before exhibit ever came on stage. And this is a Thursday night. You paid $30 for an exhibit ticket, right, to support your homie. And that's when I realized that people would spend $10 to get a mixtape and go to a local concert. Yeah. That wasn't Cutthroat Logic. Right. Because I've been selling out Cutthroat Logic shows for, you know, the better part of a decade. Yeah. And I was on the fence of like, how am I going to transition and stay in music? Like, I didn't want to get out. I got too many resources. Too many friends within the community. For sure. Like, why would I just quit you know, and walk away because this is my last album. Like I feel like I'm leaving something on the table. And I threw the first RTU event January 12th, 2013. It was the Cutthroat Logic EP release to our final album. We did 600 plus, sold it out, wall to wall, Joe's Grotto in my hood, 40th Street in Thunderbird. And like, it was my first time ever playing an event in North Phoenix, which was a big deal to me because he had never let us do that. Like
wow, and that's where you grew up? Like,
right, he told us to kick rocks 10 years prior.
Wow.
In our heyday, he wasn't having it.
Really?
But like, once he, you know, doubled the size of the venue and could fit 600 people, you know, he let us come in. So we did our release. I knew we could sell that out. Like, the first one really wasn't the testament to, is this business model going to work? The second one with Trap House was, and Trap dwarfed us. Like, Trap's release did 700 and I think 80 people. He almost 800 people. He absolutely annihilated his performance. The crowd was so packed all the way to the back. And like, that dude got off stage and signed autographs and sold every single CD he printed. He made like, if I'm not mistaken, he printed a box of 500 copies and sold each one for $10. Do the math.
Yeah, man.
Like, that man walked away with a bag that night and went hood platinum overnight with the Kiss My Converse release. Because Trap and I had been working together for years prior on other events. Like, I broke bread with Trap prior. Like, he won a competition that wound up being the inception to RTU, where he got a $1,000 check that was like the lottery checks, right? Like, we were already doing local showcases. We just hadn't dialed in how to perpetuate the brand for longevity. And instead of walk away from the scene, I just decided to roll the dice on RTU. And here we are 11 years later.
Wow, man.
10 years later. We incepted it in 2012, but this is the 11th year. The company's been in business, the 10th annual festival.
What was the inspiration behind the name?
Respect the Underground? So the original name was not Respect the Underground. The original name was Retarded. And I'm not even going to say it on camera. Respect the Underground was actually a t-shirt that we printed for the events. My sister Penny Lane printed them. Because I called her, I'm like, I got an idea for a t-shirt. We're going to make a t-shirt look like the parental advisory logo, but it's going to say Respect the Underground. She prints them up. I see the logo on a shirt. Mother of my children, my ex-wife at the time, is like, just, that's the name of the company. Like, it's a call to action rather than just this brand, this random brand. And the original name of the company was super controversial. Like, the idea was, it was a cool concept. But in hindsight, it was ridiculous, and I'm glad I got rid of it. Because Respect the Underground is such a dope call to action. It means much more, and that's how we incepted the name. The first festival concept wasn't actually a festival. It was the RTU Takeover Weekend that we did at the end of the first year of our series of events. Because what I realized is that we had the bandwidth to sustain 3 days of concerts in a row. So Friday night we were at Jaguars breaking records in the Titty Club. Saturday we did a top tier RTU concert series with a mixtape called Best of the Best, where we had all the best groups from the year come out. 800 plus, cracking, gave away like $2 grand in prizes. And then Sunday we did Up Next Sunday. So I did 3 days in a row. And I just put it in my head, like, if I was to condense this onto one property and do it in one day, we could throw the Arizona Hip Hop Festival. So I called Blaze. I'm like, we're going to throw a fucking all-day festival. And he's like, you're fucking crazy. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And the next person I called was Trap. I'm like, Trap, we're going to throw an all-day festival, an all-day Arizona Hip Hop Festival. And on paper, like, conceptually, it sounds insane. Like, it shouldn't work. Logistically, it should not work. But, so I'm cooking this festival throughout year 2. Well, we've now expanded to doing, like, we're basically doing 2 concerts a month at this point. And we're killing it. The Sunday shows are killing it. Like, these Up Next Sundays are like as cracking as our Saturdays, as our Fridays. But it's Sunday afternoon with artists you've never heard of, and chicken and waffles on the patio. Like, it was like development, artist development Sundays, really, right? And then I get a call from Caleb, Money, Power, Respect Entertainment. He was my manager for many years when I was an artist, and will always be my brother. But he calls me. He's like, "Yo, I got this call from Live Nation," and I'm like, "Word?" And he's like, "Comerica Theater wants to do a local event, but what they're gonna do is gonna fail. Like their idea is like, it's cool, but it ain't gonna work."
Right.
He's like, "What do you got, cooking that you think you could, fill Comerica with?"
And he's a promoter. He knows. So if he's telling you this, yeah.
He knew what time it was. They basically wanted to book like 10 local acts and put them in the main room. And like, that would have completely shit the bed.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no way you're filling Comerica Theater with 10 local acts. Like, it's not going to happen.
No, not at all.
Their capacity is, if I'm not mistaken, Comerica Theater holds 5,200 people, top and bottom.
Okay.
So I go sit down with the GM at the time. His name is Eric Larson, stand-up dude. Like, if it wasn't for him, the festival probably wouldn't exist if Caleb and he hadn't come to an agreement for this, right? And they're like, "So what do you have?" And I give this dude a business plan. Like, I hand it over. And I'm like, "I want to host the first Arizona Hip Hop Festival. And I want to do 3 stages. I want to do your main stage. I want to do a lobby stage. And then I want to do a stage on the front patio. And I want to put vendors in the lobby. I want to put vendors outside. Like, I want to make this like a real festival environment." And they said yes.
Yeah.
Like, he was scared. Like, they were nervous. And so he had to go up the totem pole and get it approved.
Yeah.
But they gave us the green light, and the first festival had 3 stages. And 3 stages at that time was like, we were really scared to do 3 stages because of the time management.
Right.
Now we do a 3-stage event with our eyes closed.
Yeah.
We did 3,000 plus people, 3 stages all day. Made the statement. The New Times, like everyone, even the publications were like backhanded compliments that I would fail. They called it a logistical nightmare. They said, they quoted, "Will he collapse under the weight of his own ambition in this promotional hyperbole?"
Right.
And I was like, "Word, all right, bet." And when we shut them down, they were like, "Yo, good job. Like, we really expected you to fail."
Yeah.
And then year 2 came around, and that's when, Master P shows up.
Yeah.
No Limit Records. We partner with No Limit, do No Limit Global. Got a couple artists signed to No Limit.
How did that happen? How did that come about with Pete?
So when we launched the company, I have what's called a magic whiteboard in my office. And anything you write on this whiteboard comes true if it's within your power, right?
Right, right.
I wrote we would partner with No Limit and form No Limit Global by 2015. And every time we spoke on it in the office, I'd be like, "Yo, when we partner with Master P, we're going to get a trap sign. We're going to do this. We're going to do that."
Yeah.
And long story short, his best friend wound up going to the salt mine, linked with Dawn, left a CD, gave his number to Slug. Slug shot the number to me. I pitched him, and on Halloween 2016, I was in front of Master P at No Limit headquarters pitching him a partnership between RTU and No Limit.
Wow.
And he agreed to it, and 3 weeks later, he was at the festival giving a seminar on how to be a millionaire.
Wow.
So, like, we manifested that by the grace of God. He gave me the power to manifest it. We spoke it into existence every single day for 3 years straight. To the point where it's a joke. Oh, when we partner with Master P. Because I never once said if. We said when. I was like, so when we partner with Master P, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And like even my baby mama at the time was like, "Yo, are the craziest person I've ever met." Right. And I'm like, "Yeah, it is what it is." But that's how it came about, and it was definitely a beautiful moment.
Absolutely, man. And then and then from then on,
then you have Hip Hop Day with the mayor.
Yes, I want to get into that. How did that Mayor Greg Stanton at the time? How did that happen?
Honestly, that was all my big sister Dorina Bustamante. She is the queen of downtown, and I took her. We were out to brunch one morning, and I was like, "Yo, sis, like I know you got a relationship. This is what I'm trying to do. I want to get a holiday." And she looks at me and she's like, "You crazy motherfucker." And she's like, that's a great idea. She's like, "Let's go sit down." So like it took some vetting, and it was a process, but I actually wound up building a great relationship with Mayor Stanton. Now sits on Congress. You know, he's been a powerful, you know, force of inspiration in my life. And he gave us the green light for that holiday. It's a state recognized holiday. The proclamation's right there. And they recognize it every year. It's Hip Hop Day. You know, we recognized Hip Hop Day in Arizona before they recognized it nationally. Yeah. And something to be said for that. Absolutely. For our history and the fuck shit that they usually have been on.
Right, right.
But that was a big deal. That was a big deal. And then, you know, year 4, we just shut down a whole city block. 5,000, 6,000 people showed up. Year 6, we parted ways with Live Nation, and we went to, you know, shutting down the whole city block from 1st to 2nd Street, Washington to Jefferson. And we did 15,000 people over a 2-day span for a 2-day festival, all local. 100% independent, no national headliners. And for the record, that we are the largest independent hip hop festival in the world. There's not a larger local hip hop festival that has more performers or draws more in attendance. Nobody's fucking with us anywhere in the world, and that's facts. Guinness Book of World Records was going to fly out in 2020 and document it, but COVID had other plans. So, you know, and then the progression just continues. COVID hits. Unfortunately, we had to sit down, pivot, launch a TV network on Roku. We did a virtual festival in 2020. 2021 came back around. We did 2. Both of them sold out. We went to a 21 and up event because we have sponsors in play that, you know, shout out to Drip, TrueMed, Alien, Select. You know, we've got some key sponsors in place that if you know, you know, and it's a hell of a West Coast party. So, yeah, now we are in year 10. I'm grateful. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. Like, that was wound up being my purpose, you know? Right. Like, I always thought my purpose was to rap. No, it was to learn the art of hip-hop and being an MC and what it took to pop off these shows. But most importantly, it was to create a platform to give Arizona the opportunity, like, to give these artists their first concert, their first radio interview, their artist development, that to bring a festival to the city where we celebrate all of our champions over, you know, every single artist who's ever done anything in the city, other than a very select few, have played the festival and headlined it or started from the bottom. Like, that's all there is to it. Like, it is the biggest event of the year, every year. What's next? Next is whatever God has planned. There are rumors that this year may be the last Arizona Hip Hop Festival. We are expanding. We've already expanded nationwide. You know, we've got the festival in Maui with the Maui Hip Hop Fest, my brother Mr. to the P. We've got Derek Matthews in Colorado Springs who hosts the Back to the People Festival. There very well may be a Colorado Hip Hop Festival in Denver, you know, in the near future. But, you know, right now, we're in transition. I'm not 100% sure where God wants us or where he's going to take this. But I do know that, you know, what he wants, he's going to get. So I'm just his humble servant doing God's work. And whatever he has planned for me, I'm going to continue to, like, perpetuate, you know, what we've built. But we do have some other irons in the fire. You know, obviously I work closely with Drip, you know, in their apparel and their events. You know, we've got a couple of other business ventures. But for the festival and RTU, it's going to be really building up the staff to usher in who's going to take this over when Blaze and I step down. Right. Because we don't want to just walk away. Right. Like, we want to walk away and pass the torch and then show up to the 15th annual as consumers, as fans, as like friends. Yeah. And, like, actually have a beer and a slice of pizza or something and sit down and watch. Just enjoy yourself. The event and know that, you know, we helped establish that. So, like, that's the goal, is to really, you know, foster the staff necessary to carry the torch. I mean, just hearing those words makes you feel good, right? Like, that's positive energy. I'm grateful for the ones that love me. Like, I'm hard to love. So for the ones that have stuck it out with me and still love me and still check on me and are still a part of my life. I am forever in their debt. I am forever grateful. I mean, you know, the school's always called me special, so that ain't nothing new. But, you know, not like that kind of special either. It just, you know, it brings me joy because I'm grateful for it. You know, all I have is gratitude, and just I hope that I reciprocate that to the ones that I love, and the ones that I love know that I love them deeply. Yeah, what up? This is Justus, and that's my 5. I'm out.
And there you have it. Man, shout out to my brother Justus, man. I met Justus back in 2003. I was working at a call center, and this dude Terrence, man, I remember he sat a couple seats away from me, and he was like, yo, Dave, you know what I'm saying? You rap, right? Like, you know, you got a studio and everything? Because at the time I was just entering the scene. And I was like, nah, man, I don't. You know, I'm looking for something though, you know? And he goes, man, I got this white boy, man. He's super cold with it. He's a good engineer, man. His name's Nightbreed. And I was like, okay, you know, so he gave me his number. I gave him a call because text messaging wasn't really an option like that in 03. So I shot him, I gave him a call and, you know, told him I'm looking for a studio. He said, man, come on down, and booked the set. And this was the old studio, the old CTL studio on 3rd and McDowell across from the Jack in the Box. And it was in that art gallery over there. And so I went over there, got it, you know, we set up the session, and that's where I met Justus, you know. And from the time I met him, you know, he was just so welcoming because, I mean, I'm an Arizona native, you know what I mean? But that was my time just entering the local Arizona hip hop scene. And from the time I met him, you know, he was just like, man, anything you need, if you need anything from us, you know, let us know, man. You know what I'm saying? You're dope, you got talent, and, you know, anything you need, just let us know. And I'll never forget that, man. And that was 20 years ago. It's crazy how time flies like that, you know, but to this day, you know, 20 years later, here he is still thriving, still doing the major moves for the community. You know, haters are gonna hate, man, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't pay any of that in mind, man, because I just go off of how an individual treats me and how I watch them move. And some people talk it, some people walk it, and Justus is definitely somebody that walks it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's just the proof is in the pudding, man. You know, and I just salute you so much, my brother, and I thank you for being a part of our platform. This is something that we designed to give individuals like yourself in the community a chance to share your story, let everybody know the real, and you know, I can't thank you enough, man. I wish you nothing but the best and nothing less. Make sure you guys are following him on social media. And shout out to my brother Jimmy Nelson on the camera. Make sure you guys subscribe to that YouTube channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right. Well, this was definitely one for the books. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, though. Until next time, stay tuned, stay blessed, stay healthy, and just give me 5, y'all.
Everything you get, you got